Good afternoon. Just doing a little bit more. Good afternoon. Just doing a little bit more work on the latest commission. So far we've got this dog there, more or less. Got the cockapoo on this side. Have a look. We've done a little bit of work on him. But I'm just trying now to finish off some of the results on this side here, on the border collie. So let me zoom in slightly so you can see where I'm working. I'm just gonna, so at the minute I'm just looking at under this chin here, and the values now are the sort of warmish greys, because obviously there's some shadow underneath the chin section. So I'm now just gently, with very light pressure, and at the moment I'm using the warm grey 4, just to put this little bit of shadow in. So it comes down to just about there, coming directly from underneath the chin. So it needs to be darker than this area here. And always check carefully on the direction in which the fur is travelling. Okay. There's a little bit of grey going up there as well into that brown, warmer area. This is the fur here. The fur length is a little bit longer under here in this part of the coat, coming into where it does get quite a bit darker. So I'm just going to fetch some of this warm grey up here as well, and down this side. Okay, you see that curl there? That's quite a nice curl. We have actually got some more smaller sections of this warm grey just underneath here, just underneath this chin. So as I say, I'm using a light pressure, and then that is coming back down into this warmer area just further down here. Okay. This part here is the ear from the cockapoo, so that's where we change over to the cockapoo. So now I just want to put in, let's have a quick look here on the reference photo. So we have got a little bit of a warm feel to it, so I'm actually going to put in a little bit of this. This is the violet grey from the luminance range. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this in there as well. Now this is more of a opaque pencil, and it's got some sort of so it's got a reddish shade to this coming down here, and then I'm just going to remove that and put in a little bit of a pinkish colour going on here. Coming up into this section here. So again, light pressure, and that comes down here, and then get the base in here. It's a little bit pinkish around this area here. Only it's slight, so it's not too strong a colour, but it has got a little pinkish tone to it. And then we can move on to the let's have a look. We need some whites now. Let's have a look. Not quite a bright white, so we're going to use the buff titanium from the luminance range again. Just finishing this section off here, and then I'm going to fetch this down here far as this here? Right, I'm just going to use my putty rubber. I'm just going to remove some of these darker tones here. Right, so there, the grey. So there's a grey coming down there, and then here we have more of a white area. It's not a very clean white, but it's still light, so let's just... Let me just use my Tombow rubber slightly here. I don't want to lose all of this direction though. These lines are giving me guides. Okay. There we go. To brush off the excess. Using buff titanium. Light pressure. I'm just going to fetch this down so it meets up with this other area here that's got a slightly warmer colour in there. Okay. I'm going to take this titanium, this buff titanium, and I'm going to go over this, the greyer area as well, the shadow area under here, because it will help to blend those colours. Gently glazing that over there. And fetching that down here. Okay. Then we need a sort of creamy colour in there, I think. Where's the eyelid gone? In fact, no, I think I'll just put in a touch of the warm grey one. Okay, so that's going to come out that way. Again, just small strokes. Blend that into there. Okay. And then I'm just going to use this knife slightly to see if we can get some of these more white marks brought in. I think we need to put a bit more grey. These slice tools are really good, but you do have to have plenty of layers on. It's working better, and it's even harder when you're trying to do a white on. So we need a bit more grey down here. So actually, I'm just going to go over to a cooler grey. I think I'm going to start with the Cool Grey 3. So I'm just going to sharpen this slightly. Nice sharp point. Nice long point. So this is the Cold Grey 3. So we've got some transition in here from the grey. So there's a bit of greyish hair here. And then it goes into we've got white, and then we'll have some bits of black as well. Okay. And these are hairs that are going to, eventually, I'm going to get some white parts into these. Now, if I can't manage to do it with the slice tool, then I'll get it negatively. Then what I shall do is I will use some gouache on it. Now then, oops, it's a little bit hard. That's what I mean by using light pressure, not hard. Let me see if we can zoom in slightly on this bit here. So can you see I'm just starting now to build up these little white areas which are loose bits of hair. I'm going to use the slice tool a bit now as well. see there we've got some, because these are just like little flyaway bits of hair, because it's quite wispy around here, but there's quite a lot of the shadow in the negative side, so we'll put that back in once I've got these wispy bits of hair, and then we can see it a lot clearer. Coming down this way, so we've got some dark negative areas. And we've got some really misshaped. There, okay. So now if I go back, I'm going to go back and use two colours here. I'm going to use the Coal Grey 6 and the Coal Grey 3. So in between these white areas, I'm just going to put a little bit of the shadow so that the white stands out that little bit better. They are only wispy hairs, so it doesn't need to be too bright. So let me just get in here. There's a little bit of really dark colour as we're coming up this way. Okay. This grey just blends back down into that warmer colour there. Okay. Back to the slice tool. It'll have some white bits coming that way. And then we've got some that are curved that way, curved that way. Right, so I'll leave that for now, we'll come back to that later. So now we're going to go back up here, so we're now going to be going back up. So we're following this bit here, and we're going to now be using, I'm using the Coal Grey 6 to start. And the hair, just watch how the hair falls down this area. It's a lot longer, wispier as well. It's going to be a lot wispier. Comes up, so it's coming out of this area here. So this is the initial layer. We are going to darken it a lot more. Also it comes up here now. So now I'm following sort of the fur markings that I've got here, which I put in earlier. Okay. It's just a case of keeping your eye on the reference photograph very clearly and just following the flow of the fur. Now as we come up here, we've got this grey here, so I'm going to stick to this grey. In fact, I'll start probably with, there are some lighter areas in this section, so I'm actually going to start with the Coal Grey 3. Again, just keep your eye on the lines of the fur strokes. Again, just make sure you keep looking at your reference photograph. So So here we do have quite a lot of wispy bits as well, so they will come in later on when we get the greys down initially. So I'm just blocking in first with this, with the cold grey 3, and following, put quite a few of these wavy fur, because this fur now is quite long and it's quite wavy, so I'm actually just following along with that at this moment in time. So I'm using the cold grey 3. Okay, so that turns, it starts turning and coming round into this section here. And as I come down here, I'm going to release the pressure, because this is where it's that the actual fur is going to fade off the paper. Okay, I'm more or less putting in a lot of the lighter areas first, and then we'll move on to putting in some of these darker areas as well. Okay, and just carefully so looking at this, it comes out here and then it comes down there, and then this comes down this way, and this bit here is the back of the dog, which is a bit darker. Okay, and just keeping a close eye on the reference photograph. Okay, shove that up so you can see. Sorry about that. So all up down this area, I've started with the cold grey 3 as my blocking. This is going to go a heck of a lot darker. Okay, and then with a cold grey 5, I want to mark this area in because it is slightly different. So this is the back of the coat. Okay, so we've got some bits, wispy bits. We'll just move this down. Some of the wispy bits now are coming up here. And then the direction of this fur is, again, it's coming from the back, but it's begins to turn. It's got some curl in it there, and then it sort of comes down, and then it's more or less straight down. This isn't quite as long as this and curly as this fur. Okay, I just want to plot it in really. That's coming down here. Okay. A few varying tones in there, but not that many. So that will come down there. Okay. So to keep those up there for now, I'm going to blend this now, and I'm going to use cold grey 2. and the cold grey 2. That's cold grey 3, cold grey 1. What's the cold grey 2 gone? Yep, cold grey 2. So I'm going to blend all of this with the cold grey 2. So I'm just trying to make sure now that I've got all of the paper, most of the paper on this side covered, and then we're going to go ahead and start putting in some of the darker areas, and then we can go in to use the slice tool to get in all the details. So for now I'm just going to carry on, and all I'm doing is using the cold grey 2, and I'm just going to darken and soften, well, it's blending the cold grey 3 and the cold grey, what else did I use? Cold grey 4 and 5. So I'm just going to blend all of this in together, just so it all blends in. I don't have to have any very sharp lines in this side here, it's all soft fur. So I'm not using hard pressure, I'm just using soft light pressure. I'm blending in the direction of which the fur is falling. I keep twisting the pencil so it keeps the point. I'm just trying to fill in all these little gaps of paper where you can see the white of the paper coming through. So if I can fill in most of these gaps with the cold grey 2, that will help us with the lighter sections again. Okay. 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 So I'll move that back so you can see it a little bit better as a whole. There we go. Okay, and then I'll be coming back and I'm going to be doing some darker tones. So I'll just leave it for there for now, and then after a short break, I'll be back and we can do some more. Okay, see you in a short while. Hello, now I'm back again. Right, so what we're going to start with, we need to darken up some of this area here. So it sort of comes as a down there and there. So that bit there needs to be quite dark. So we're going to build that up. So I'm going to go on to the, no, it's a warm, go on to cold grey, sorry, wrong. Let's start here with I'm actually going to use some Payne's Grey just here first. So I'm wanting to put in, so if I just sort of zoom in slightly so you can see it a little bit better. So let me plot in roughly, so that's that darker section there, so then it comes in slightly there, and then this bit here is really dark there, and then we start to come back out again here. And this is where it starts to blend into this dark, really dark colour here. Only it isn't going to be as dark. There is a slight shift in the change of colour. Okay? We can see that's where I'm going to do it too. Okay. So this is the Payne's Grey, which is the 181 on the Polychromos range. to go in with a black. Again, very light pressure, and I'm just going to again, it's a bit longer the fur here, not quite as long as further down, but so the black is starting to darken it up slightly. I don't want it as dark as this section here, that's because that's a shadow from this bit that's laying, this bit here is laying on the top of it. Okay. Okay, whoops, tape's coming off all the paper here. The weather is rather hot, exceptionally hot should I say. So I want to darken this up a little bit more. I'm just doing a glaze of the dark indigo, which is the 157 from Polychromos range. It does have a bluish tinge to it, so I'm just doing a soft glaze there. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it, but there is a slight difference there. There's a bit of shadow here. So this colour here is slightly darker. And then we've got that colour, which there isn't much change in value, but there is some. And then we need to be coming out into a bit lighter greys. So we're still keeping with the cold grey. Now I think we're going to be using, let's have a look if we can find a bit darker cold grey. So this is the cold grey 5. Let me just sharpen this up. Okay. Okay. Nice sharp pencil. So this is the 234, which is the cold grey 5. And then I want to come out of here. So also look, because there is a bit of a curve on the fur here, so it curves and then it comes down this way. Okay, so we're coming out and we're curving down this way here, and it is quite wavy when it starts to come down here. So okay. I'll put a few bits of wave in there. Just using light pressure and just going back and over so we can we need it to sort of blend into this area here. Okay. Again, it's lighter but not that much lighter. So we do need to keep it quite cool. I keep picking up, I don't know what it is today, but I keep picking up the warm greys instead of the cool greys. Don't know why, but anyway, we will see. So go back again on another layer with this. And this is sort of coming down sort of on this side here, and it's quite wavy. It's coming down to about there. Yeah, it just comes to about where the level of that is there, where the warmer colour on that side is. Okay. And we do have some varying, so we'll have some darker sections in this and some lighter sections. Okay. Now this side here, it does come out a little bit this way. These tend to sort of come out over the top of the bits that are that section there. Okay. it. Fetch this down this way. Okay, and then I'm just going to have a look. I need another grey. Excuse me, buddy. So let's have a look here. Looking for a cold grey. Here we go. Got the cold grey 6 now. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a bit of a sharpen. But my greys are very small and I keep losing which one they are. Okay, so we're using the 235 there, which is the cold grey 6. But we're coming back out now with that, so the transition looks a little bit smoother. Okay. And then turn and make this curve that way. Now I'm leaving some of the lighter sections. I'm not going over them all. I'm just going over, I'm trying to sort of looking closely at the reference. There we go. But up here, this is quite. There we go. So that's making that transition a lot smoother. Okay. There we go. It's coming down this side here. And then I'm going to give this a bit of a glaze with, let's have a look, it's got quite a cool looking colour, so I'm going to actually go over with Payne's Grey again. Well, this Payne's Grey is a bluey grey. Now I'm going to sort of glaze in the direction of the fur. I'm just doing some shading strokes just to sort of glaze over there for now. Okay, so that is a lot darker there. We will be darkening up sections in a while. I just need to use the slice tool first. Now in this section we do have some quite fine if you can see there, using the slice tool, and you have enough layers on, so we've built up a lot of the darker areas. And then what I'm doing is I'm actually, so we've got quite a thick one here. I'll just turn the slice tool onto a different side. There, so it goes in a little bit there. And then we have another few wispy white bits there. So this section's got quite a lot of these wispy bits, and there's one that curls right over this side, like that. Again, you've got to just sort of never going to be exactly the same as the reference, but you want to get them as near to it as you can, because this is a commission after all, and the owners will know their dog so well that anything that isn't right is going to hit them in the face straight away. Now, I'm lucky enough for this lady to have been and have a look at this, and she's quite happy with it. She said it's exactly like her dog, so I'm quite pleased with that. Ooh. Lay down, buddy. I've got my dog under my feet at the minute. Okie dokie. Alright, buddy. Okay, so now I can start darkening up slightly. I'm going to use the black now. And I'm just going to, in between where I've put these nice fine white hairs, I'm actually going to fill in some of these areas with the black for the contrast, so that you can see, hopefully, the finer hairs will stick out a little bit more. Okay, I'm not going to use it everywhere, because towards the edge of the picture everything seems a lot greyer, not black. So and we've got quite a bit of the black here. As we're coming down here, it does start to get darker again. Okay. That's it. As you can see, we've got some of these darker bits here. But this is quite a lighter grey area where I will be putting in some more sections of wispy hairs. Okay. Looking again at the coal grey 6. Okay. This section here is the start of the back coat. Okay, and it has got sort of a curve to come that way, then it meets up with this side of the hair here. Same here. Okay. And then I'm just gonna that does seem to have a tinge of the reddy colour in it, so I'm going to use the Caput Mortuum Violet, and I'm actually just going to put a very light glaze in this section here. Let me move the picture that way slightly. Just in this section here, which is the very back of the coat of the dog. Okay. It's only a very light glaze. And then go back to the black. Again, watching the it sort of curls over at the back like that, but it then comes back. Again, using lighter strokes, and then it sort of comes across that way. Now, because this section is sort of out of focus slightly, so I'm just going to soften this in. Use some circular motions here. Soften this area in. Still going in the direction of which the fur is going. Okay. You can just see little bits of the reddish carpet mountain violet just shining through slightly. Okay. And then I'm just going to use, you can also see some sections of blue, so I'm just going to add a few bits of the dark indigo to this section here. And darken that up again. Okay. I'll come back to that in a bit. I just want to blend it now, so I will use one of the blending pencils for this, because it's quite a fluffy bit of fur this side on the back. Okay, just keep that there for now. So now I'm zooming back out. So this part here is just sort of so that starts a bit light, and then we've got this darker section here. So again, I'm just going to come down. It's coming down this side now. The fur here starts to fall away straight down, basically. Sorry, you're not being able to see this. I'm not used to looking at this camera. It's a different camera. I'm back onto my Panasonic camera. So I'm just putting in again. I'm still just building these base layers up. So we've got some waves coming in with this. Of these colours. And the fur is starting to come a bit more this way up here. So it's a lot longer and wavier down here. Okay. You can see how the waves are starting to take shape. And what we're doing is we're just building up from the lighter grey up to where all the darker areas are. Okay. zoom back out again so you can see the dog more or less, a bit more whole. There you go. So you can see we're carrying on, working down this way into this direction, and then this dog probably will be finished. I will be going back over it once I finish the cockapoo as well, just to put in any more finer details that need to be put in and any adjustments that need to be made. So I hope you've enjoyed just watching this section. I am planning more videos. I just need to get a little bit more practice on actually doing them. Today I found I've got my camera back that I originally used to use, so hopefully there will be a lot better quality now. Okay, and I look forward to seeing you later. Thank you very much. Bye.